had his Glenwood, the real beast Brown. He lost to Maurice Blocker, and then he lost to Meldrick Taylor.
Well, he lost to Meldrick Taylor, but it was only by an eyelash, Sam. A little bit more better performance by Brown. He would have walked out the champion of the world. I think he's still right up there. 1 or 2 more fights, he may fight for the title again.
What about the effect of losing 2 title fights in a row, Gil?
Well, at his age, I don't think that it will affect him. I think it's going to make a better fighter out of him.
And he's taking on a grizzly veteran in Miguel Santana.
Well, here's Santana, fought for the lightweight championship of the world, walked out of the ring, thought he was the lightweight champion of the world. Later on, for some reason, they reversed the decision. He's an experienced fighter, and we'll give Brown a test as long as he stays in there.
All right, that sets it up, and in just a moment, we'll be set to go with our opening bout on Fight Now.
Returning to the ring after losing his last 2 fights, first to Maurice Blocker and then to Meldrick Taylor, both for welterweight titles. And we spoke to Glenwood Brown moments ago and asked him about losing those 2 title bouts and what's in store for him now.
Well, I'm just going to, go back and just work on a lot of different things. The losses that I just had, I said it was a close fight. I felt that I won the fight, but I'm not going to let that discourage me. I'm just going to go back and, go to work like I always been going.
Can you be a better fighter because of those losses?
Sure, I could be a better fighter because, every 2 champion bounced up off a loss and show everybody that he's a great fighter.
How soon do you think you'll go back and challenge for another title shot?
Oh, in the next few months, 6 months, so, so I'm just really looking to get a lot of work and just, do my performance like I've been doing.
Are you over the disappointment?
Yes, I was over the disappointment maybe a week after the fight. But, I can't, bounce and, just doing on that loss, I got to get up and, start going up the ladder again.
Okay, we'll see if Glenwood Brown can get up the ladder again. We are set for our opening bout. Let's go to ring announcer Ward Todd for the introduction.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friar Tuck-In in the heart of the Catskill Mountains in beautiful Greene County, upstate New York. Tonight's exciting card of boxing is a production of Madison Square Garden Boxing. Tonight's officials have been assigned by the New York State Athletic Commission. The chairman is Randy Gordon. Judges for tonight's card of boxing are Wynn Kintz, Sid Rubenstein, and Joe Ware Sr. Physicians at ringside, Dr. Steve Goodman and Dr. Bob Sarek. Timekeeper at the bell is Cecilio Pizarra. Referees Ron Lipton, Seth Rubenstein, and for this contest, Ken Zimmer. 10 rounds, welterweights. Introducing first in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with white trim, weighing 147 pounds. He is a tough veteran who squared off against some of the top boxers the past few years. 23 big wins versus 11 losses and 3 draws. He has scored 14 knockouts. Formerly from Puerto Rico, now fighting out of Worcester, Mass., here is Miguel El Zorro Santana. And introducing next his opponent in the red corner, wearing the black trunks, red trim, weighing 149 pounds. Earlier this year, he lost his bid for the WBA championship by dropping a tough decision to Meldrick Taylor. Currently, the number 4 ranked challenger with a sterling record, 34 wins, just 3 losses, and 25 knockouts. From Plainfield, New Jersey, here is Glenwood, the real beast. Whoa!
Glenwood Brown, who, after being ranked as high as number 1, is now ranked number 4 by the WBA and the WBC, and number 10 by the IBF in the welterweight division. And this is an important test for him, I would say, Gil.
Well, yes, after those 2 losses, he's going to have to get a little bit of his confidence back. He's in with a grizzled veteran, but Santana mostly has fought as a lightweight, Sam, and I think that the Brown is just going to be a lot too strong for him in this fight.
And Santana appears to be on the downside of his career. In the last 3 years, he has lost 7 of his last 8 fights. The only win was over Jaime Rodriguez in March of last year. But he's fought some tough opponents: Tracy Spann, Rodney Moore, Buddy McGirt, Todd Foster. His last fight was a win over John LeBlanc. So I'll make it 7 of his last 9 have been losses.
They had Glenwood Brown boxing and moving, which has never really been his style. Now I notice he's fighting back in that old flat-footed style of the real beast.
In watching his recent fights, Gil, my thoughts have been that the one thing that's still been missing, which I thought he used very successfully early in his career, were the body shots. He seemed to be just headhunting, and that fight against Blocker, he neglected to go to the body.
Well, what happens there, he was trying to box with a boxer, a master boxer, Maurice Blocker, a big, tall guy, and really knows how to move in that ring. That's the time he should have used those body punches, and try to break those big, tall guys in half.
Santana began his pro career in 1982.
Santana just let out a whoop or whatever that was supposed to mean. I guess that's to tell Glenwood Brown that he doesn't really respect him. But Brown will earn his respect as this fight goes on.
A little short with those left hooks.
Santana was strictly an arm puncher, Sam. Doesn't get any leverage on any of his punches. But he's clever and he's cute.
Warning for hitting on the break. Santana apologizes. Glenwood Brown seems like he wants to get it right in after him, and he does, and bangs away a good left hook, followed by a couple of good rights. Brown got angry. For 10, like Glenwood Brown got angry and really went after Miguel Santana after that little punch out to break.
Miguel Santana made a mistake. He lit a fire under Glenwood Brown. Before that, earlier in the round, Brown was very, very complacent. But he woke up in a hurry.
If that continues. Brown is 24 years old, and as Gil mentioned, he's young enough to come right back and bounce back. His ranking hasn't fallen all that much despite the 2 losses. He's still ranked number 4 in the world by 2 of the organizations.
And with 3 organizations, he'll be right up there against them. It won't be long.
Santana's legs spread wide apart.
Well, as we mentioned, he gets no leverage on his punches at all. And after that first round, I doubt if he's going to do too much to make Glenwood Brown angry. What Glenwood Brown should be doing, though, Sam, is using a left jab when he's not doing anything else. Just snap that jab out. Everything else will come off the jab, but he's looking for that one big punch. And that really very seldom comes against a very clever fighter like Santana. You have to set him up. Use that jab.
Is that something that might have turned around the fight against Meldrick Taylor?
Well, not really. I think against Meldrick Taylor, he had a big edge in strength and punching power, and I think he should have just wailed away. But again, you see no jabs whatsoever from there's first as soon as he said it, man.
But an ineffective one. Tug of war here. The 2 boxers plant their feet.
Everything that Glenwood does is either a hook or a right hand, trying to throw bombs without setting them up.
Story that Gil mentioned right at the top about Miguel Santana thinking he was champion goes back to 1988, and we'll pick it up when we come back after this break. Penn. Miguel Santana is back to you. Glenwood Brown facing you. In April of 1988, Miguel Santana fought Greg Haugen for the IBF lightweight title. The fight was stopped on cuts in the 11th round, and they announced Santana the winner. He thought he was lightweight champion. Well, here's some good action. Less than half an hour later, it was ruled that the cut was by an accidental butt, that they had to go to the scorecards, and that the scorecards showed Haugen ahead. And Haugen was declared the winner, and a technical loss assessed to Miguel Santana. How's that? A short stint at being champion.
Stranger than fiction. He could always say he was world champion for a half hour. I'm still waiting to see Glenwood Brown use a jab or a double jab to try to set something up.
What do you think he's looking for here, Gil? Can you figure out his strategy?
Well, he's looking to try to land the big bomb without setting it up. He's being impatient. He knows he's a much stronger man than Miguel Santana, but there's nothing wrong with snapping out that jab, feinting, then you can set up those combinations.
He went for the hook. Landed on the side of the head.
Every punch is a home run ball.
Santana, 27 years old. He's had 37 fights. Fighting professionally for 10 years. And he's fought some of the top guys around. Buddy McGirt stopped him in the second round in Atlantic City 2 years ago. Straight right hand landed by Brown. Good combinations by Brown as he really wings those shots. Now he's switching southpaw, yeah. Here's a new wrinkle. Oh, good left hook at the bell by Glenwood Brown. Let's go into the corner. There's Miguel Santana. There's Victor Valley stepping into the ring. Jim Fennell, the manager, on the outside.
You gotta throw the jab. On the jab, you gotta move in. You gotta get that rhythm. You gotta get that rhythm. You're staying still too much. Get the rhythm. Get the rhythm. Move in there. Dig in there. Back with the jab back. Get his hand moving there. Take the play away from this guy. You want to
Take a look here.
You can just see Glenwood Brown winging every punch that he throws. Straight right hand landed. But again, look at his feet. Look at Glenwood Brown's legs. Look how wide apart they are, Sam. Just trying to use brute strength now.
But interesting, the first thing Victor Valley said when he came into the ring was, you know, you're doing this, you do it, use the jab. First thing he said. Now, why Glenwood Brown hasn't been doing it, it's anybody's guess. Jab. Glenwood just circling, feinting. How do you have it scored through 3 rounds?
I've given first and third rounds to Brown. I scored the second round either. Simply because there was no action whatsoever in the second round.
I gave it slightly to Brown. Each of the 3 rounds, fairly close. Second one closest of the 3. This is round 4, scheduled for 10. Also on the card tonight, we have unbeaten heavyweight Lou Savarese, 22-0, 18 knockouts, just back from 3 weeks at George Foreman's ranch, where he worked with George in Marshall, Texas, helping George train for his upcoming bout.
Well, the fact that George had Savarese down there proves that he's serious about the Stewart fight. You don't bring a guy, an undefeated heavyweight, down as a sparring partner if you're not taking the fight seriously.
And Lou did say this morning that George was in good shape. He was really hitting hard. Brown switching southpaw. Back. I don't recall him using the right-hand lead all that much in the past. He's used it a couple of times tonight.
And the couple of times that he has thrown it, Sam, it really didn't have that much leverage on it. There's a good left hook by Brown.
Santana answers back.
There's Santana talking again. Glenwood Brown looks to me, Sam, like a stale fighter. Looks like he spent too much time in the gym. He's doing too much thinking, too much moving. It's not necessary. He should just use that natural ability that he has. And again, he's not paying attention to Victor Valley, not snapping a jab. He hasn't used the jab in the entire round.
Switch to southpaw again.
Looks to me as if Glenwood Brown is listening to the guys on the speed corner instead of his trainer.
He didn't look very comfortable switching to southpaw. Time winding down in the 4th round. Tucked in Catskill, New York. Glad you're with us for Fight Night. Highly ranked welterweight Glenwood, the real beast Brown, with his back to you. He's ranked number 4 in the world by the WBA and WBC, number 10 by the IBF, against Miguel Santana. His round 5 scheduled for 10, and there are a couple of jabs by Glenwood Brown.
Well, if he does start to use that jab, he's going to find that it's going to be a lot easier to land his other punches.
And 2 more.
So maybe Victor Valley has finally got to him.
Maybe he said use the jab or don't come back into the corner. Go to the other guy's corner.
Well, you know, that's been done by a lot of trainers. I remember when Leon Spinks fought Muhammad Ali, Georgie Benton walked out of the corner after 4 rounds. But you don't want to pay attention. Fight your own fight.
Bouncing around.
And, you know, he's fighting really a blown-up lightweight. There's no reason for him to be doing all this bouncing around. What he should be doing again is snapping that left jab, moving in behind the jab, and throwing those combinations.
Now looking down into the corner of Glenwood Brown, looking at Victor Valley, his trainer, his manager, Jim Fidel, and they're shaking their heads. They're not very pleased with the way Glenwood is fighting.
Well, you know, we're being very critical of Glenwood Brown, but you have to remember Santana was in there, and Glenwood Brown, in my opinion, is winning the fight, but not very impressively.
I think we're being critical of a man who's been right at the top of the division, and if he hopes to be a champion, and that certainly is his goal, he's going to have to fight better than this. Santana, good work on Brown.
And Victor Valley and Jim Fidel have to worry with those heads clashing. Cut the Glenwood Brown.
Good left hook by Brown. Finally fought off Santana. Santana with his best flurry of the fight.
And Santana also landed a good left hook in that exchange, Sam.
Brown has gone back to the flat-footed stance.
And he's walking around the ring, Sam. A lot of times his legs are in a position that he can't throw a punch. You have to keep that left foot forward. You have to stay on balance all the time.
Time winding down in the fifth.
Solid punches by Glenwood Brown.
Unofficially, Glenwood Brown winning on our scorecards, but not.
Yeah, 3 jabs by Glenwood Brown. Finally, followed by a right hand.
Not winning in dominant fashion. As we mentioned earlier, this is the type of fight which lends itself to Brown dominating a fight. A man who's fought most of his career as a lightweight, stepping up a couple of weight classes. Miguel Santana. Brown throwing a few jabs there. Try and set up the right hand.
I think Brown is in a transitional period, Sam. He doesn't know what he wants to be. He doesn't know whether he wants to be a boxer or a puncher or what he wants to be, and nothing seems to mesh. One minute he's dancing all around the ring, but with no purpose. He doesn't seem to have any purpose in what he's doing. Why is he doing it?
While he's doing it, why is he not throwing any punches? That right hand caught Santana inside the head and stopped him.
It was another one of those arm punches, though, Sam. One of those wide swinging punches.
Brown looks angry again, much the way he did in the first round when he was hit during the break. Trying to get in at Santana. Santana, looking at him, just hasn't done enough to win the round. He just doesn't look like he's boxing to win.
Well, he's a defensive fighter. We mentioned he's a clever boxer. He knows all the tricks on the inside. Gets that shoulder in there, smothers your punches.
We're late in round 7. Here at the Friar Tuck Inn in Catskill, New York. In the Catskill Mountains. Glad you're with us for fight night. This is our opening bout, round 8. Scheduled for 10. Glenwood Brown and Miguel Santana.
Sam, when the bell rings to start the round, Brown walks right out and throws 2 jabs, and then if he repeats what he's been doing in the other round, nice combination by Brown. He forgets the jab for the entire rest of the round. Here he's walking around again. No purpose. There just doesn't seem to be any purpose in what he's doing. He's moving his body and head. So is Santana. I mean, if you're snapping the jab and you're hitting a guy with a jab, then when you do those feints, they can work. But they're not going to work unless you hit the guy with something.
Looping right hand by Santana scores. Santana smiled after he threw that punch.
He doesn't like to make Glenwood angry. Sometimes a fight like this can wind up being good for Glenwood Brown because they show him the tape. When they get it back in the gym, they work on all these shortcomings that he's showing in the fight tonight. And maybe the next time out it'll be twice as good.
Lunging,
All the
leaping,
time.
left
Well,
hook.
he's trying to land a big punch instead of trying to set it up first. And on the inside, Santana is just so clever that he keeps Brown punching.
Something I mentioned earlier. Oh, there was Brown with a left hook to the body. I was about to say he hadn't thrown many body punches. A quick left hook by Brown. Now, Brown will plant himself in the middle of the ring and dig down and throw some hard punches.
And Santana was landing more often now as well, Sam. Now he switched to southpaw, now he's back the other way. I really don't think he has any fight plan at all going into this fight. And what was the purpose of his walking around the way he walked around then?
Well, maybe to let the fans on the other side of the ring have a closer view of it. You don't agree?
Sam, I don't know. I mean, we've been belaboring him enough.
End of round 8. Scheduled for 10. There have been no knockdowns. Nothing close to a knockdown. Your scorecard, Gil?
I've given Brown every round except the second, which I called even.
Called 1 round even. I've given Santana 1 round. And that was it. It's a round where there's more of Brown not doing enough and Santana showing a little willingness to go on the offense. And again, we've been very critical of Glenwood Brown, but I have to point out, if Glenwood Brown is a world-class fighter, I think he needs to come into the ring and fight like a world-class fighter, and he's not doing that.
Now he's fighting southpaw. And I noticed Victor Valley's very calm in the corner there. I mean, I think seeing Brown switch to southpaw would start to bother Victor a little bit too, but maybe that's something that they're working on in the gym. But it doesn't look very successful to me.
I've been looking at Jim Fidel, the manager, and he's not pleased. Has always been a boxer who's very efficient with his punches. And sometimes he just lets a lot of time lapse without doing anything.
Doing a lot of feinting, but again, no snapping that jab, no moving his hands. Winging punches. Now Glenwood Brown is cut over his right eye.
Uh-oh.
Slight cut over the right eye. Doesn't look bad, but he's cut.
Work for the cut man, Al Gavin, between rounds.
It didn't look like a very serious cut, but again, it will get Al Gavin's attention. One of the best cut men in the business, by the way.
No question about it.
Good right hand by Santana.
Almost as if Glenwood Brown needs Santana to go on the offense to get him angry, to get him going. Time winding down in the 9th round.
Another left hook by Santana.
Santana certainly hasn't been out-muscled by Brown. He's hung in there.
Very, very clever, Sam. He knows how to use what he has on the inside. He knows how to move those shoulders, those elbows, smother your punches, shift his weight from side to side. So you don't have to be strong to do that. But he's making Brown use his strength against him.
Robert Perez, man in the ring with Miguel Santana.
When I say bubble, you go. When I say bubble,
Santana's last fight was February 28th in Boston, beating John LeBlanc a 10-round decision.
don't eat that much food. You're getting too much food.
Sam, we both gave the Santana the 9th round.
Yeah.
I sneaked a peek at your scorecard.
I've given him the last 2, actually, by a little bit.
Well, I gave the 8th to Glenwood Brown.
of the 10th. Been no knockdowns. We both have Brown ahead on our scorecards by a wide margin. But it has been far from one of Glenwood Brown's best. He got nailed by a left hook walking in.
One thing for sure, Sam, this is not the same Glenwood Brown that knocked out Donovan Boucher.
Oh, yeah. Right about that.
And again, both fighters are feinting. Nobody's falling for any feints. They can do that all day. Somebody has to initiate something, and it hasn't been Glenwood Brown.
And as you mentioned, Santana is basically a counterpuncher, defensive fighter. Brown got in a good left hook. But Brown hasn't really had big moments where he's sustained, or long moments where he's sustained the offense.
No, he's just done enough to win just about every round. But again, not any real 2-point rounds or dominating rounds or anything else.
Good combination. A left hook landed that staggered Santana. Brown, sensing the opening, went after it, but Santana was able to move away. The good left hook that landed by Glenwood Brown. That right hand taken on the shoulder by Brown. Brown coming off losses to Maurice Blocker for the IBF welterweight championship, and then losing to Meldrick Taylor for the WBA welterweight championship. The WBC title is held by Buddy McGirt. Now a little wrestling.
Well, there's Brown's physical strength coming to the fore.
Good exchange.
Well, Santana has hung in there the entire fight. Yeah. Look at him on the inside. Watch the way he moves those shoulders. Look at that shoulder in there.
Certainly hasn't been out-muscled. He's hung in there toe-to-toe when he's had to. That's it. Now the judges at ringside will score it. Miguel Santana being lifted. Almost as if he feels he's a winner. Maybe he feels he's won just by going the distance.
Well, that's probably what it is. Fighting a world-class fighter like Glenwood Brown, especially when you're coming up in weight class, you can't be too optimistic going in.
My scorecard says 98-93 for Brown.
Well, Sam, I have it 98-93, I imagine.
Okay.
Same as you.
Valley still talking to Glenwood Brown. The real beast, 34-3, 25 knockouts. You know what it is? When you think about it, he just doesn't seem to be the real beast the way he used to be when he had that fire and was really attacking and taking apart opponents.
Well, he seems like he's mixed up, Sam. It just doesn't seem like he has any pattern. He can't make up his mind what he wants to do, and it looks like he's maybe thinking too much in the ring. I just really don't know, but he certainly wasn't the same Glenwood Brown that we remember so well.
All right. Awaiting the announcement of the decision. His eye has been checked out by cutman Al Gavin. Applying a little Vaseline there. Cards have been collected. And we'll get the decision from Ward Todd.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision.
How do you like that?
Referee Joe Ware Sr. scores the fight 97-96, Santana. Judge Sid Rubenstein scores the fight 98-92 for Brown. Judge Wynn Kintz scores the fight 97-91 for the winner, Glenwood Brown.
Well, the two judges who scored it for Brown, we were in line with them. One of the judges going by 1 point to Santana.
Well, I really don't know what that judge was looking at. Maybe he comes from England, where they really admire defensive fighters. But Santana certainly did not do it in the scoring, as far as I'm concerned.
Santana upset about it. Check out this reaction by Miguel Santana. He thought he was going to be announced the winner. He wanted it. No, he says, I disagree. Brown is the man. Glenwood Brown, first fight back after 2 losses, wins by a split decision. We'll be right back. Gil 8 at Buckingham Palace. Oh, this is the Buckingham Palace, I think.
No, this is Friar Tuck Palace.
The arena that we're in now, I think, is the Buckingham Palace.
I don't know. Is this the palace?
Yes, this is the palace. Yeah, they let you in the palace. Nothing wrong with that. Now we're going to